Welcome to the Deep Dive. This is where we take your sources and really pull out the crucial insights for you, our listener.
That's right.
And today, we're diving deep into Okinawa Soba. It's quite a fascinating world.
It really is. We've got some great material here.
Yeah, a really rich collection. Stuff covering its history, detailed descriptions of ingredients, and, well, the amazing variety across the islands.
So our mission today really is to get beyond just what Okinawa Soba is.
Exactly. We want to understand why it's such a vital part of Okinawan culture, its history. You know, have you ever wondered what makes it different from, say, mainland Japanese soba?
That's a key question.
Or how just a simple bowl of noodles can become this a powerful symbol of identity, even resilience. Okay, let's unpack this.
It's quite remarkable because when you start looking into Okinawa Soba, you find you're not just looking at a recipe. Not at all.
No.
You're actually tracing this culinary story centuries old, and it's deeply tied into the history of the Ryukyu Kingdom and, well, the influence from China.
Absolutely. And that earliest mention we have, it's quite something.
Yeah.
According to these documents, from Beijing University, actually, a dish called funto,
Funtu.
which means wheat flour soup. It was served way, way back, 1532,
Wow, 1532.
at a memorial service for King Shoshin. And that's seen as the direct ancestor, right?
That's the link, yeah.
But here's where it gets really interesting. We don't actually know exactly what funtu looked like.
Ah, so the details are missing.
Yeah, its exact form is still kind of a mystery.
Right. But even without those specifics, the key thing from our sources is that these early wheat noodles, they weren't everyday food.
No, definitely not.
They really emphasized it was a high-status dish
Yeah.
kept within the Ryukyu royal court, used mainly to impress, important guests,
Especially visitors from China, yeah.
especially Chinese envoys, exactly.
Which makes total sense when you think about Ryukyu's position back then, a major trading hub.
Geography
Yeah.
played a huge role.
That must have been crucial for bringing in those Chinese noodle-making techniques.
Absolutely.
So it wasn't really a grassroots thing initially, not invented locally from scratch.
Not at first, no. The sources are pretty clear that Okinawa Soba's origins are in adapting foreign culinary methods.
Brought in through trade, diplomacy.
Right. And the royal court, with its connections and, well, skilled cooks, was the starting point for adapting this wheat noodle soup.
Okay, so let's jump forward a bit then. How does it go from being this, royal court dish to something everyone can enjoy?
Well, that big shift really starts picking up steam during the Meiji era. So starting around 1868,
Okay.
our sources point to the opening of Shina soba shops, literally meaning Chinese noodles,
Shina soba, right.
particularly around the Tsuji area in Naha, the red light district. That was really crucial for making it commercially available to more people.
So that's the beginning of it spreading out.
Yeah, and you have to remember, this was a time of big social and economic changes in Japan generally, which opened up new opportunities in Okinawa too, like these shops.
And it just ballooned from there, didn't it? The Taisho era, 1912 to 1926, it really took off.
Totally. More and more soba shops popped up. And this is also when we see the name Ryukyu Soba starting to become common.
Ah, Ryukyu soba.
Yeah, and the sources also note that this is when things like the pork-based broth and that wonderful simmered pork belly, said miniku, became standard toppings.
So it's adapting to local tastes.
Exactly. The big takeaway is how the dish was evolving, fitting local preferences, becoming really embedded in Okinawan food culture.
And that name change itself from Shina soba to Ryukyu soba, that feels really significant, like a marker of identity.
Absolutely. It signals a growing sense of local ownership,
Yeah.
developing a uniquely Okinawan culinary tradition, maybe reflecting a rise in distinct cultural awareness during that time.
Makes sense.
Subtle, maybe, but powerful. A clear sign of creating a distinct culinary heritage. Now let's get into what actually defines Okinawa soba, what makes it unique, because this is a key difference.
Okay.
The most fundamental thing compared to mainland soba is the noodles.
Right, they're 100% wheat flour. No buckwheat at all.
Correct. Zero buckwheat. And the thing that gives them that amazing, chewy, bouncy texture, that elasticity and unique flavor, it's the use of kansui.
Kansui, an alkaline solution.
An alkaline solution, yes. And traditionally, they even used lye, like ash lye from subtropical wood.
Wow, wood ash.
Yeah. Think of it as this, well, secret ingredient almost. This alkaline stuff gives the noodles that specific chewiness. It's quite different from regular wheat noodles.
And there's a link to Chinese noodles there too, right? They use similar alkaline solutions.
There is, yes.
Right.
It shows the connection persists.
Amazing how these little details make such a huge difference. But that difference, the lack of buckwheat, it actually caused some issues with the name Soba, didn't it?
It certainly did, yeah.
Yep.
Back in the 1970s, the Fair Trade Commission raised questions.
Because mainland soba had to have buckwheat.
Exactly. Their standard definition required at least 30% buckwheat flour. So this brings up that interesting point, how standardized rules can sometimes clash with these really strong local food traditions.
Yeah, that tension between official definitions and cultural identity. But thankfully, the Okinawan side pushed back.
They did. The Okinawa Noodle Manufacturing Cooperative, they stepped in and really advocated strongly. And they succeeded.
That's great.
In 1978, the special name Authentic Okinawa Soba, Hanba Okinawa Soba, was officially recognized.
And that's why October 17th is Okinawa Soba Day.
Precisely. It commemorates that victory, a really important moment for Okinawan culinary identity.
And there are pretty strict rules for what counts as authentic Okinawa soba now, aren't there? It's not just any wheat noodle soup from Okinawa.
No, it's quite detailed.
Yeah.
The official definition specifies things like, obviously it has to be made in Okinawa Prefecture.
Okay.
It needs to have a handmade style, look, and feel. There are specific requirements for the wheat flour protein, ash content, water content, the kansui or salt concentration, even aging time for the dough, and the thickness of the noodles.
It sounds incredibly precise.
It really is. And you see how tradition and, practical concerns about quality kind of merged into this official definition.
Definitely. And then there's that mandatory hand kneading step after cutting before boiling.
Yes, that's in there. And also that very characteristic oil coating after boiling.
Right, using cottonseed oil or something similar,
Right.
and no rinsing in cold water.
Exactly. And that oiling step, it does a few things. It adds flavor, it helps preserve the noodles a bit, and crucially, it stops them clumping together.
Ah, okay.
It's really vital for getting that final texture and the whole experience of real Okinawa soba.
So, okay, we have this clear definition, but what's fascinating is how, even with those rules, there's this incredible tapestry of regional styles across the islands.
Oh, absolutely. Okinawa soba is really just the umbrella term.
It covers so much diversity.
Definitely. It's far from being just one single dish. You see these really distinct regional variations reflecting local ingredients, cooking styles, what people prefer on each island. Should we start with the main island?
Yeah, let's do that. Even on Okinawa main island, there are differences, right? Between the south, like Naha, and the north, the Yambaru region.
Correct. Down south, around Naha, they generally go for medium-thick noodles, often with a bit of a twist or curl.
Okay.
But head north, up towards Nago, into Yambaru. Traditionally, they preferred harder, flatter noodles, almost like kishimen noodles you find elsewhere in Japan.
Interesting. And the broth differs too.
Yeah, you'll find variations there. The balance between pork bone stock and bonito flakes or kelp might change. Even the seasoning on the toppings, often a bit sweeter in the south, maybe lighter up north.
And you mentioned Yambaru soba specifically. That one's often seen as healthier.
Yes, it often features a somewhat lighter broth, and they tend to load it up with lots of local vegetables, maybe some seaweed.
Yeah.
Really showcases the agricultural bounty of that northern region.
Okay, now let's head south to the outer islands, Yayama soba first, from Ishigaki, Taketomi.
Right, Yayama soba. Very distinct character. The noodles are usually thin, round, and straight. No twist.
And straight.
The broth is mostly bonito-based, often with just a hint of sweetness. And importantly, the toppings are different. Usually it's finely shredded pork and kamaboko, the fish cake. Not those big pieces of pork belly or ribs you see elsewhere.
No san maniku or soki?
Generally not, no. And the absolute defining element is bipatsu.
Ah, the island pepper.
Island pepper or long pepper. It gives it this unique, warm, aromatic kick. It's crucial.
You can really taste the difference with that bipatsu. Okay, next up, Miyako Island for Miyako soba. This one has that interesting serving tradition.
It really does. Traditionally, Miyako soba noodles are flat and not curly, though, some modern places might use thicker noodles now.
Okay, flat, non-curly.
The broth tends to be on the lighter side, often bonito-based, or maybe a light pork bone blend, although again, richer versions are popping up more these days.
But the really unique thing is how it's served.
Yes. The toppings, the pork, the kamaboko, they're often hidden underneath the noodles. Well, there are theories. The sources mentioned maybe it was to hide what could be seen as luxury items from officials way back when.
Ah, okay.
Or maybe it was just a simple way to make miyako soba different, give it its own special thing.
Interesting. And only green onions on top.
Usually just chopped green onions visible. Another little quirk, you often find curry powder on the table in miyako soba shops.
Curry powder.
To add yourself.
Yeah, for diners to sprinkle on, change up the flavor halfway through if they want.
Huh. Never would have guessed curry powder.
And beyond these main regional types, there are even more variations, aren't there? Based on specific ingredients.
Oh yes, like onsa soba. That uses a seaweed.
Seaweed soba.
It can either be kneaded into the noodle dough itself or just added as a topping. Gives it this lovely, aroma of the sea.
Sounds good.
And then there's yushi tofu soba. That's topped with loads of fluffy yushi tofu. It's like unformed, very soft tofu.
Oh, yushi tofu is wonderful.
Isn't it? It gives the soba a really gentle flavor and this lovely soft texture. Very comforting.
And of course, we have to mention the different pork toppings again. Soki soba versus senmaniku soba.
Crucial distinction. Soki soba with those super tender simmered spare ribs. And the classic senmaniku soba with the flavorful slices of simmered 3-layer pork belly.
It really shows how geography and local ingredients shape everything, doesn't it? Connecting all these variations.
Absolutely. Each island's resources and history are reflected right there in the bowl.
It's just incredible. All that diversity under the name Okinawa soba really speaks to the unique character of each place. But, it's clearly more than just a tasty, varied dish. It runs much deeper culturally for Okinawans.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
The sources really drive home this profound emotional connection. They often call it furusato no waji.
The taste of home.
Exactly, the taste of your hometown. It's this sensory thing that links people directly to Okinawan tradition, to their identity. It brings back memories, personal ones, shared community memories.
Did it become especially important during certain historical periods, maybe periods of change, as like a cultural anchor? It seems like it's always been there.
That's a great point. It likely served as a real constant, something familiar and grounding through Okinawa's turbulent history.
And it's not just for, special occasions either. It's woven into daily life. And it has that unique role at New Year's too.
Yes, that's fascinating. Unlike mainland Japan, where buckwheat soba is the traditional toshikoshi soba, the noodles you eat crossing into the new year.
On New Year's Eve.
Right. In Okinawa, it's Okinawa soba that fills that role.
Which is a really powerful statement, isn't it?
It really is. A perfect example of cultural adaptation and asserting a distinct Okinawan identity, even within broader Japanese traditions. On the mainland, the buckwheat soba is about cutting away the hardships of the old year. Okinawa chose its own symbol, highlighting its own food identity.
So, okay, it's deeply rooted in history, it's culturally vital, but it's not stuck in the past, is it? It's still evolving.
Precisely. It's very much alive. We're seeing this real wave of modern takes, some people call them evolutionary styles of Okinawa soba.
Tell us more about that. What kind of innovations are chefs trying out? Are they careful to respect the tradition?
It seems like a mix. You see places like Okinawa Soba Kuna, for example, making this really rich, collagen-heavy broth using chicken feet.
Interesting. Chicken feet.
Yeah. And others are experimenting with things like adding egg whites to the noodles, trying to enhance the texture.
Okay.
And you find really creative toppings appearing, new seasonings. Like one place makes its own fish sauce with local island chili peppers.
Wow.
Then you have shops like Okinawa Soba Aibun, offering choice of different noodle types, a whole range of toppings. Or Kinsuki Soba, they're trying out completely new flavor ideas, like a Tantan Soba.
Based on the Sichuan dish.
Yeah, inspired by Tantan, man.
So definitely pushing boundaries.
It sounds like there's a lot of energy there, balancing innovation with tradition. And our sources mention some specific popular spots, modern ones known for quality. Yes, definitely. Both places that have been around forever, and some exciting newer ones. You've got classics like Miyazato Soba, a real institution. Pakaisi Soba, famous for that yushi tofu soba we mentioned.
Right.
Shuri Horikawa, they really pride themselves on their homemade noodles. Ichifuji is known for a super rich pork bone broth.
Okay.
Then there's Kawachi Shokuro Ayozora, doing a unique rich chicken and pork base with stir-fried veggies on top. And Haikunen Koka Ufuya, that's in this stunning old house. They do amazing agu pork soba, also with homemade noodles.
It really shows how the community keeps the tradition alive while allowing for these new interpretations, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. It's dynamic.
And this energy, this creativity,
Yeah,
some people are looking even further afield now, right?
Yeah.
Thinking about international recognition.
they are, yeah. There's definitely a growing ambition to see Okinawa soba get popular globally.
Like who?
Well, places like Okinawa Soba Iban, they explicitly state goals for overseas expansion.
Yeah.
And you see development of products designed for export, like frozen Okinawa soba.
Making it easier to ship and sell abroad.
Exactly. And even some rebranding efforts, like those by Okinawa Soba Kuna, seem partly aimed at catching the eye of an international audience. Which, of course, raises that interesting question.
How do you balance sticking to tradition with appealing to a global market?
Precisely. How do you maintain that authentic core while adapting? It's a challenge.
So, wrapping up this deep dive, we've really covered a lot of ground. From that early Chinese-influenced court dish, all the way to the beloved cultural icon it is today.
Yeah, and as we've seen, the story of Okinawa soba really does mirror Okinawa's own history. It's a story of adapting, of being resilient through tough times, asserting a unique identity.
And that constant dance between tradition and modernity.
Absolutely, that dynamic tension.
It's so clear that Okinawa soba is way more than just food. It's a living tradition. People cherish the classic styles, but they're also excited to reinterpret it.
Exactly right. And so, for you, our listener, thinking about this incredible history, this ongoing evolution, what do you think the future holds for this soul food of Okinawa, both on the islands and maybe, just maybe, on the world stage?
Yeah, what parts of its identity, its essence, will be non-negotiable as it keeps changing and potentially reaching new audiences?
That's definitely something worth chewing on.